Self-awareness is the start to self-improvement. Because if you can't be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, then how can you find the opportunities to improve? So in this video, we're gonna cover self-awareness, gonna give you some actionable takeaways that you can use starting today. Not tomorrow, today. My name is Dr. Jay Kavanaugh of thevibemindset.com. Let's get started. So one of the keys to self-awareness is think about what we're becoming aware of. We're becoming aware of three main things: our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. Now, what's interesting is they all feed upon each other and one can influence the other. If you have a positive thought, that can result in a positive feeling. And then when all of a sudden you decide something as simple as whether you're gonna go for a walk or not, that positive feeling might determine whether or not you say yes to the walk, since it's 32 degrees outside, or no to the walk. And so you see how simple just one shift at the beginning of that flow, that thought, can become a feeling and can change an action. And so self-awareness is being aware of your thoughts. So let's start there. So when we talk about our thoughts, what we're really talking about is just where do we allow our mind to wander? Where do we allow our focus and our attention and our energy to go? And when I say, notice how I said where we allow is the key, because it is self-awareness. It is self-improvement. It is yourself. It is you. You are in control if you are conscious and take active control of it. If you don't, your mind will just replay the subconscious programs of your past, and you'll just end up having the same reactions, the same results, and the same outcomes, unless you are a conscious co-creator of your day and the way that you think, feel, and act. So let's go back to thoughts. Now, thoughts oftentimes come into our mind without provocation. So you could, for example, just be sitting there and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it could be breakfast and you could be thinking about a pizza, right? So this thought came out of nowhere, and you can do one of two things with it. You can, first of all, with self-awareness, you want to at least be aware of it. And it's almost like shining a light on it. The analogy I always use is, imagine, I don't know, you're in Beverly Hills, right? And you're the front gatekeeper, and all of a sudden up pulls a Mercedes thought, and then you have to interview it, talk to it, analyze it briefly to determine whether or not it's going to gain access up through the driveway to the house, or if you're going to kindly ask it to keep going. So that's how you want to look at thoughts. Use that analogy. Think about a thought as you can't control who comes up to the gate. You can't control the thoughts that come into your mind, but you can certainly control what you do with them. And that is step number one to self-awareness, is being aware of the thoughts that you have, not judging them, not being overcritical of them, not so much overthinking them or feeling anxious or stressed about them. However, just simply saying, what do we got here? Where did it come from? And what shall we do with it? And so you can either let that thought come into your mind and you can think about it, you can ruminate on it, you can let it create a feeling. If it's a great thought, like, oh wow, that's a great idea, then you see how your energy and your emotions raise up. It elevates your vibe, it elevates your emotions if you have a positive thought. So that thought you would want to let in through the gate, and you want to amplify it, you want to magnify it, you want to stay focused on it to amplify the resulting feelings and, of course, the resulting actions from those feelings. Now, let's say that you've got a thought that doesn't serve you well. And I always like to use the word serve you well or not serve you well, because when you think about negative and positive, and I still, even myself, have already used that term, I try to break away from it. It's very difficult because all thoughts are just thoughts. Are they really negative and positive? You could argue yes, but it just seems to make it less judgmental. And as I just said, judging your thoughts is something you want to kind of break away from, because judging them can create judgment just outside of that scenario in your life in general, which judgment is just not good. However, they're thoughts. Like, why do we have to judge them? Why do we have to label them? Why does everything have to either be good or bad? You know, she's either nice or she's not nice. We don't need to have these labels. We don't need to have that dichotomy or that, that separation. Let's just look at it all as, hey, does it serve me or not? That's just my choice. It's up to you. So going back to thoughts, a thought that comes in that doesn't serve you. Now all of a sudden you say, hey, this thought doesn't serve me. I always go through one simple process. I say, thanks for stopping by. However, and then at that point I say, however, I'm going to analyze where you came from, which you can do if that's one option, or option two, which is, hey, right now is not a good time, so I'm going to ask you to leave. Those are the two options for a negative thought. You shine a light on it, you analyze it briefly and say, do I want to focus on this thought and learn where it came from and maybe take some actions to modify or change where I'm allowing my emotions and my actions, my attention to go? Because oftentimes where your thoughts come from is where you place your focus and your attention. If you're focused on drama, then your thoughts are going to be more dramatic. If you focus on growth, then your thoughts will more likely be growth-based. And so a lot of times when you have a thought, what's beautiful about it is it really reveals to you where you're focusing your attention. So it allows you to kind of take that servo mechanism of your mind and say, hey, I'm going to take this reticular activating system I have in my mind, and I'm going to shift it from focusing over here to, the things in my past or anxiety. I'm going to shift over here to some growth and self-improvement. So with self-awareness, step one, thoughts, okay? Serve you or don't serve you. Next, think about feelings, okay? So we covered thoughts, that's a very basic but powerful description of what to do with thoughts, right? Now let's shift over to feelings. We use the same blueprint, okay? Does this feeling, so first of all, it's be aware, right? First of all, it's the awareness of the feeling. Where do feelings usually happen? Usually either in your chest or your stomach. Anxiety, oftentimes I feel myself in my stomach and my gut. And then sometimes if it's really bad, I feel it raise up into my chest and I have that tightness in my chest, right? So it's being aware of what that feels like. It's like, hey, you know what? I think this feels like anxiety creeping in. Okay, let's shine a light on it. Let's take a look at it. And then what I'll do is, if I notice that feeling of anxiety, I'll say, hey, all right, does this feeling serve me or not? Well, obviously the feeling of anxiety may not serve you. However, every now and then it does reveal something valuable. Feelings are looking to catch your attention. They're looking to create movement and action. And so I don't like to label feelings, just like thoughts, as negative or positive. I like to label, if I am to label a feeling, as either elevated or kind of a lower vibe. So higher vibe feelings, if you wish, lower vibe feelings. So what you do when you have that feeling is you say, okay, is this feeling serving me? Well, you know what? I'm feeling a little anxious. Okay, take a step back. Why? Why are you feeling a little anxious? Well, I just keep thinking about. Keep thinking about sounds like possibly overthinking or ruminating on something you've already thought about once, then twice, then 3 times. And then once you think about the same thing and you're worried about the outcome and you keep worrying about that same thing, you get into this little vortex of emotions that start to kind of fester and raise up. Now all of a sudden you've created this feeling of anxiety from thinking about one thought over and over and over again. That could be one option. So it's the self-awareness of saying, hey, I keep thinking the same thought and worrying about that same future, which hasn't even happened yet. And then that begs the question, am I looking through the lens of faith that, hey, I don't know what the future holds, but I think things are going to work out? Or am I looking through the lens of fear, which is I don't know what the future holds, but I think things aren't going to work out? So you can also manage the lens there once you gain that self-awareness that, hey, I'm feeling anxious. Now, a lot of times when you feel anxious, one tool that you can use is you say to yourself, okay, this feeling, where can I shift my thoughts, right? Because my thoughts are a big contributor to my feelings. So where can I shift my thoughts now because I don't want to feel anxious? Okay, well, I've already thought about this situation multiple times and I realize that I can't control the outcome. So I'm going to let it go for now. And I'm just going to break free from that feeling and that rumination, that overthinking, because I've done everything I can do. So I'm just going to let it go and hopefully things will play out in my favor. And if they don't, we'll deal with it then. But ruminating and overthinking it is not helping me, not serving me. It's causing anxiety. And it's also causing me to be a little bit nippy with some of the comments my significant other has made, or even at work, I might be a little more aggressive, a little more on edge. So that's why when we look back to that thought, feeling, and action pattern, we realize that, hey, if I feel a certain way, it might be affecting my relationships at work, my business, my at home, and even just my relationship with myself. I might just start beating myself up, creating this negative self-talk, this narrative rather that's not serving me. And so you have to be very careful of that. So And if you have a feeling for too long, feelings become a mood, mood becomes a temperament, temperament becomes a personality. And then people just say, oh, he's just grumpy. He's just negative, you know? That's just from that. So just to finish up on feelings, if you have a positive feeling, so something that's elevated, right? We all call them, a lot of people call them positive feelings. I like to prefer to call it an elevated emotion, right? You have this feeling of this elevated emotion. What do you do with it? Well, you magnify it. Magnify it. Say, hey, where did this come from? Well, I keep thinking about how excited I am about this weekend. Like we got this great trip planned to go to Stowe, Vermont to go skiing, and I just can't wait. Okay. That is one of the times where you say to yourself, let's have this self-awareness that my focus and attention is on this thought that's bringing me joy. It's bringing me the feeling of an elevated emotion. It's getting me excited. All right, replay it, highlight it, write it down, think about it, talk about it with your friends, call the people that are going on the trip with you, be like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Text them, do whatever you can, and keep that emotional state elevated. Why? Because that's going to have a positive impact on, once again, the relationships you have and the actions you take throughout the day. And then finally, when we talk about actions, the self-awareness you want to have with your actions is always say to yourself, hey, did this action serve me or not serve me? Go through that same process again, and then look back and say, hey, there's some thoughts and feelings that contributed to this action. What were they? And how can I manage them? How can I pull these different levers of thoughts and feelings, and how can I move things around and change my perspective on them so that I can improve the outcome or the action as a result of them? So self-awareness, that's a big part of self-awareness right there. Jam-packed a lot of information into this video for you. And if you like this video, don't just do the subscribe and like thing. Sure, go ahead and do that, but really check out our website, thevibemindset.com. We've got some courses that we're creating that are really powerful, succinct, to the point, and very reasonably priced that will allow you to keep this momentum going from this video and really get that change ignited in your life that you're looking for. So thank you so much for your time. My name is Dr. Jake Kavanaugh of thevibemindset.com. And if you want to check out 2 other videos, as you know, we've always got 2 other videos up here, but thank you so very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.